This first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs, they battled and fought, and when the dust settled, the Atlanta Hawks prevailed in double overtime, eliminating the bloodthirsty Detroit Pistons in 4 games. Well, Sunday, the playoff rematch returned to the Omni with Game 1 of the semifinals. The Isaiah-led Pistons took control, beating the Hawks by 1, reclaiming the home court advantage. The pressure is shifted, and Atlanta must face the task of dominating the rough boys of Detroit.
Tough boys running the streets.
On fire, but I think you got to be ready to meet force with force.
TBS Sports presents NBA Basketball, America's game.
Everybody, along with the coach of the Chicago Bulls and an old friend, Doug Collins, Skip Carey, welcoming you to a night of playoff basketball from the Omni in Atlanta. They have a near sellout here to watch Game 2 as Detroit and Atlanta get together. First game, a bit of a surprise. The Hawks favored in the series, but here in the Omni Sunday afternoon, Detroit prevailed 112-111, so the pressure has to be on the Hawks, Doug.
Well, the pressure is on the Hawks, and, you know, Skip, when you look at it, Chuck Daly's got to try to sell his team tonight on winning 2 games. Don't be satisfied with getting a split. Atlanta's already shown they can win in Pontiac. They've got to go for the juggler tonight and try to get that number 2.
Isaiah Thomas had 30 in that first game win. Adrian Dantley had a big first quarter in the game. Meanwhile, for Atlanta, one young man who's a good person and a good player is really struggling.
Yeah, Glenn Doc Rivers is especially struggling from the free throw line, shooting 19 for 40 in the playoffs, 83% in the regular season. He must relax tonight and just go out and play basketball. If he starts worrying, every shot's going to feel like a brick in his hand.
And guys like us talk about it on radio and television, and the writers write about it, and then it just snowballs, right?
Yeah, they tell you to forget it, but you can't, because every time you turn around, someone has a suggestion. You've got to go back to what's been successful you and just go up and knock the first 2 in, and you'll forget about that 19 for 40.
Well, you're an NBA coach and a good one. If you're Chuck Daly, what do you say in that huddle over there?
Look, guys, the pressure's on them. Let's get out to a good start. Make them think about the fact they've got to win this game tonight. If I'm Mike Fratello, on the other hand, I say, guys, let's get off to a good start. Let's get out. Let's run the break. They're excited. Let's get the dunk into the game.
Tell you what, folks, this is going to be a heck of a game. Stay with us. A lot of basketball coming up on TBS. We'll be back with a play-by-play story right after this. Boy, this place is up for grabs tonight. The folks in Atlanta have taken the NBA to their hearts. Let's take a look at the lineups for this game. Rick Mahorn is, to my mind, a playoff-type player. Boy, he's a big, tough, physical guy.
He's really been the key to them, too. He gives them an emotional presence without having to want to score. You know, he doesn't care if he scores. Rebounds and plays tough defense.
And Chuck Daly, the very excellent coach of the Detroit team, assisted by Ron Rothstein. You see him in the forefront of your picture, who used to be Mike Fratello's assistant. He's a defensive expert. So that's the way Detroit goes, and here's Atlanta. Dominique Wilkins held the 21 on the first game of this series. They're a very impressive physical team, and they have a heck of a coach, too, Mike Fratello.
Both of these teams are very well coached. They're very different in styles. Atlanta really wants to get you in an open court game, force it down your throat. Detroit wants to control tempo in a half court.
Some veteran officials working this one. On the left, Darryl Garrettson, who heads up the officials in the NBA. John Vanek in the middle. And the alternate official, Jack Neese, who's a good one in his own right. Well, we're ready to go, and we sincerely hope that you will enjoy it. And if you don't enjoy this one, why, I don't think you like pro basketball. This is going to be terrific.
Skip, we'll see a clinic tonight when you watch this game on pick and roll. How do you play screen and roll? You're going to see it with Isaiah Thomas and Lambeer. You're going to see it with Dumars and Mahorn. You're going to see it with Doc Rivers and Wilkins. The different ways to play screen and roll. I think that will be a key in this game. Who defends screen and roll the best?
I will be willing to bet you that in the first 5 minutes of this game, we're going to hear a lot of whistles blown, because both teams are so pumped up. And they flat out, the coaches are close friends, but the players really don't like each other that much.
Well, when you're going to see each other for 7 times, too, your tempers get a little bit edgy. They like to run out on this break.
Rivers, but a whistle. The tip was stolen. I can't hear the whistles here. I don't know about you. That's the way it ought to be. So Isaiah will inbound in the front court. Joe Dumars has come into his own for the Detroit team this year.
Detroit really likes to go to Adrian Dantley in the first quarter, see if they try to get him going.
Isaiah against his old playground pal, Doc Rivers, and Doc with a steal. Randy Whitman blocked away and out of bounds by Isaiah Thomas. That might bump Rivers up a little, that steal.
This is sort of reminiscent of game 1 when Doc Rivers picked Isaiah Thomas's pocket late in the game, gets a nice steal.
Dominique Wilkins handles it. Now Rivers up top. 11:35 left in the first quarter. Randy Whitman. Dominique, 2-0 Atlanta. Isaiah with play instruction.
The sigh you heard was Mike Fratello seeing that jumper go down for Dominique.
Dantley couldn't handle the pass, and the ball goes back to Atlanta.
Atlanta is an outstanding defensive team, and talking to Ronnie Rothstein, he was more concerned about the execution of Detroit's offense more than anything else against this tough defense that also blocks shots very well.
Rivers and Randy Whitman. Kevin Willis with a little hook. The biggest lead either team had in game 1 was 7 points by Detroit in the fourth quarter. Atlanta leads here 4-0. Isaiah still 4-0, and the rebound, Kevin Willis. Doc Rivers. Wilkins from about 19. No, Lambeer the rebound. Dantley ahead of the field. Should get an easy layup, and he does.
That's what you've got to take away from Adrian Dantley. You've got to take away the layups, and you've got to keep him off the free throw line. When he shoots 8 or more free throws, they're 35-13. They've won 17 of their last 18 games.
They closed the season in great fashion. They were on the road all the time and really came together. Bill Russell, by the way, predicted that on one of our telecasts, and he's right.
They'll either come together or fall apart.
Rivers gets Randy Whitman the open jumper. That's his game. 6-2 Atlanta. Wilkins plays Dantley. Those two pretty talented fellas. Adrian, a little set shot. Rollins. Atlanta can build a 6-point lead. Rivers drops it off. Willis drew the foul. Lambeer got him his first foul of the game.
Skip, this Atlanta team is such an emotional ball club. It's all by the penetration of Doc Rivers. Gets in the lane. He takes it strong to Kevin Willis, who draws the foul. And that's what happens when Doc Rivers gets into the teeth of the defense. You're forced to pick him up. Now he dishes to the bigger people to get to the free throw line. That's the key to Willis and Dominique, getting them off early.
Willis has 3. Atlanta leads 7-2. .9:40 remaining in the first quarter. Detroit off to an awful start. Dumars shoots the jumper over Whitman. He left it short. Rollins with the Atlanta rebound.
Got to pick him up early. You better not let him spin on you.
Dominique lost it. Isaiah with it. It's 4-on-2. Dumars. Dantley. No foul. Block Rollins. Mahorn dribbles out of trouble. Isaiah. Lambeer's jumper. Yes.
Lambeer is a very difficult matchup for a center. You almost have to play him with a forward because he really doesn't play in the post. He screens and rolls out rather than rolling to the basket.
Yet somehow he gets a lot of rebounds.
Defensively, he doesn't get a lot of offensive rebounds.
Whitman beats Isaiah. Yes.
Give the credit there to Dominique Wilkins. He spotted the double team, skipped it across the court to Whitman. Nice little penetration dribble to get the jump shot.
2 years ago, Dominique Wilkins didn't know how to do that.
He would have tried to split the double team and lost it probably.
Dantley. Dumars. Yes.
Same philosophy there by Atlanta. They're running at Dantley, trying to force him to give it up. Skip pass to Dumars. He knocks the shot in.
10-6 the score. Atlanta on top. Whitman, yes. He has 6. 12-6 Atlanta. Dantley against Wilkins. They clear the zone. He shoots the set shot. This time it's long. Rollins the rebound. Rivers. Great pass. Willis. Atlanta by 8. A 20-second timeout is called by Detroit. The people here are going absolutely crazy, as well they might.
This is what Atlanta needed. A great penetration again by Rivers, spotting Willis on the break. If we were to chart right now the early efficiency of this game, count the number of layups that Atlanta's gotten. The only layup that Detroit has gotten is Dantley on the break. Everything else has been a perimeter jump shot.
There's a long way to go, but I had the thought before the game, and I know you did too, if Atlanta doesn't get out of the gate good in this game, down 1 at home, it might be a long night, but they've gotten out of the gate in great shape, and you got to give their coaching staff some of the credit for that.
You're darn right. You don't want to put pressure on him. Mike Fratello knows his young team feels the pressure. He's got to take that and put it on his own shoulders.
Rivers almost tied up Thomas, but no whistle. This is the playoffs. Lambier can't control it.
They tried to run a screen and roll with Isaiah Thomas. They doubled it and forced him to make a tough pass. Great defense there by the Atlanta Hawks.
Atlanta can build a 10-point lead. 3 Detroit turnovers already. Atlanta has but 1. Rivers goes to the hole. It's stripped away. 3-on-2 break. Thomas turned it over. All right, they're going to call a foul. They'll call a foul on Whitman. Looked like Isaiah may have turned it over, but after the contact.
Isaiah on the dribble coming at Randy Whitman. Whitman realizing he can't stop Isaiah, wants to grab him so he can't give up an easy basket. No layups in the playoffs, Skip.
They'll get you beat. That's what they'll do. Dumars, no. Detroit can't get anything inside.
Another perimeter jumper. They're really sinking great on their defense right now, forcing them to play on the outside.
Willis again. He gets mugged by Mahone. And here's the first little confrontation. And Dominique Wilkins takes control of the situation.
See, now, this is where Kevin Willis has got to walk away from Rick Mahorn. Part of his game is to get you into a verbal warfare with him and take you out of what you want to do, Skip. Just walk to the free throw line. We see it right here. No layups. He tries to dunk it. Rick Mahorn, just a good, tough foul. And Kevin Willis has got to walk away from that. Don't get into that kind of skirmish with Rick Mahorn.
Willis off to a great start. He has 7. A lot of people laughed at the Hawks when they drafted him out of Michigan State. Nobody laughs anymore. He makes 1 of the 2. Mahorn the rebound. Joe Dumars up the floor. Detroit down by 9. Biggest lead of this series. Thomas can't get it. They can't throw it in the ocean. Rollins continues to clear the board. Willis back to the basket. He's been hot. So is this guy, Randy Whitman. Atlanta. Dumars. Oh, nobody played Dantley.
They're supposed to switch on that play. There was a cross screen there. Dumars set a beautiful back screen. There was no switch, and Adrian Dantley wide open. Again, you must not get him easy layups.
He has 4, and it's 17-8 Atlanta. Rivers left it short.
Boy, he really jerked that shot.
Dumars. No goaltending. It was pinned against the glass, but no call. A break for Atlanta.
You think it's important to have shot blockers in this game? Oh my word.
Rollins handles the ball on offense. Wilkins. Great move, no basket. Rivers, yes. His first point. It's 19-8. Again, an 11-point lead for Atlanta. Thomas is on the deck. Let's see who the foul is on. Rollins and Rivers both were there. It's on Rivers.
And you know what happened on that play? He got knocked down, and Rivers tried to help him up, and they called him for the foul as he was trying to help him up.
It's the playoffs, no doubt about it. Timeout Detroit. 5:25 left in the first quarter. And your score, Atlanta 19, Detroit 8. And we mentioned in the open how Doc Rivers has been struggling. Before the game, we asked Mike Fratello about that very thing.
Well, the biggest thing is Doc has to gain his confidence back right now. He has to understand that he's the guy that led us to 57 wins this year with the ball in his hand. He was in control of our offense and was our leader out there distributing the basketball, a guy who shot 83% from the foul line and who really had an outstanding year. We need him to just go back and play the game the way he's capable of playing, and we'll be fine if we get the normal productivity that we get out of our one spot, and that's combining Rivers with Spud Webb.
So far, so good for Rivers. He hasn't been to the foul line, but he's done a good job of leading this club.
He really has. He's played outstanding defense, but he's gotten the penetration to get his teammates going. I think that's the biggest key for the lead guard.
Mahorn against Rollins. Lambier against Willis. He fakes and pops. Yes. His second basket.
You see, Willis is actually playing Lambier. He's their forward playing Lambier on the floor. You've got Rollins playing against Mahorn playing closer to the basket. Try to take away that outside jump shot.
Thomas plays Rivers. They double Whitman. Wilkins against Dantley. Good play by Adrian Dantley. Ahead to Dumars. Blocked out of bounds. Detroit's ball. He had no shot there, did he?
Tree Rollins and Dominique were both sizing him up. They didn't want to get in each other's way, but great hands here by Dantley. He strips Dominique down low. He's not big enough to bother his shot up when he gets it in the air, but nice pass out to Dumars, and look at Dominique and Tree Rollins tracking him down. Again, no layups.
Back live, Isaiah Thomas up top with the ball for Detroit. 4:43 left in the first quarter. Dantley wheels, deals. It was partially blocked. It's out of bounds, and Detroit will have it again.
That was really close to being goaltended there. I thought that ball was on its downward flight. Little jump hook, and Tree Rollins came over and got a piece of it.
Mahorn will trigger it in. A new 24-second clock for Detroit. Atlanta leads 19-10. We'll have Golden State at Los Angeles later tonight with Mel Proctor and Bill Russell. Thomas from 20, shot at 19, Lambier.
There's a big key right there. Offensive rebounding. They had 20 offensive rebounds in game one. Dennis Rodman had 9 of them.
19-12 Atlanta. Whitman has it knocked loose. A foul on Isaiah Thomas. John Vanek called it from under the basket. Darryl Garrettson was up top. Vinnie Johnson into the game. Dumars goes up. And Spud Webb has checked in for Atlanta, and Doc Rivers goes away.
That's an interesting substitution. Spud coming into the game so early. Have to see what materializes here. The score 19-12 when the substitution is made.
Whitman finally missed one over the backboard, belongs to Detroit. And let's see if the momentum is beginning to shift a little bit.
If Detroit can just weather this early storm and let the crowd get a little emotion out of their system, they'll be okay. They just can't let themselves get buried right now.
19-12 is our score with 3:50 left in the first quarter. They double team Dantley. Isaiah's alone. He hasn't made a jumper yet. Still has it. Mahorn. Yes.
2 straight offensive rebounds for scorers, Skip. They're starting to take their toll now in the glass.
19-13 says the board. 3.5 minutes left, first quarter. Should be 14. Wilkins dunks home his own miss. 21-14 should be the score. The board is incorrect.
Dominique is one of those players that'll take a bad shot and go get his own miss back. He's a lot like Moses Malone in those respects. You can't relax on him once he releases the ball.
Johnson. Push off. Lambier, his second foul. Comes into the game. Lambier goes out. Sally, now a villain, but they cheered him here for 4 years at Georgia Tech. Mike McGee is checked in for Atlanta. He handles the ball now. Wilkins, 16-footer, yes.
When his outside jump shot is going, he's impossible to defend. He's like Michael Jordan. When he's hitting his jumper, you better put in the book about 35 for him. what's his name?
Vinnie Johnson. That's bad news for Atlanta when he hits a shot. He's another streak shooter. 23-16, however, the Hawks have the lead as Spud Webb dribbles the perimeter. They post up McGee. He's double teamed. Has it knocked loose, gets it back. It's on the deck. Big scramble. Bodies hit the floor. Out of the pack, Isaiah Thomas. He's got a 3-on-3. In the lane. He finally gets one. Isaiah's first points.
Through all this, it's only 23-18, so Detroit is holding their own territory here now after getting down and out of this ball game.
Webb goes to the hole. That's where he likes to be. It may have been partially blocked. Dantley rips it away, and he's got a clear path. Willis gambled on the steal, and the gamble didn't pay off.
What happened there? Very poor floor balance when Spud Webb penetrated the basket. Mike McGee did not rotate back. There's nobody back. Skip to prevent against the run out.
Atlanta led 19-8. They now lead 23-20. Wilkins hangs in the air. It won't go. Good job, McGee. Blocked by Sally. Boy, the body's flying. Rollins wisely clears it up top. Now Willis and Isaiah Thomas are in it.
They were in a
whistle.
headlock underneath the basket and no foul. I can't believe that.
Webb gets it to Willis. It won't go. The tip won't go. Sally can't control it. McGee is knocked sprawling. Vinnie Johnson has it stolen. Wilkins has it blocked. The ball is going to go to Detroit.
I want to tell you what, and they better get this game under control right now. Otherwise, we're going to have a bloodbath.
Dominique Wilkins is called for the foul. And a timeout is called here. Boy, this is something. 23-20 Atlanta. We'll be back. Family's anti-drug campaign by wearing a Don't Foul Out pin. Send $1 in a self-addressed stamped envelope to Don't Foul Out, P.O. Box 5418, New York, New York 10185.
Skip, this is what I was talking about in that last sequence of plays. I think we got a replay here to show. Let's watch on the right of the screen here. We see, first of all, that's Dominique. Now we see right there a headlock. Who's going to get the takedown there, Willis or Isaiah?
World Championship Wrestling. Mahorn shoots the jumper and buries it. He's got 4, and the Atlanta lead, once 11, is now 1 with 40 seconds left in the first quarter. McGee, an outstanding three-point shooter, gives it up to Spud Webb. 30 seconds left.
See how much room they give Spud Webb. They're not going to let him penetrate. They're going to make him hit that shot.
And if he does, he really helps the Atlanta team. 25-22. Detroit can and will play for the final shot. They'll have to shoot it with 1 second left on the clock.
This is the one part of NBA basketball I don't like. 4 guys on the side of the floor. And I don't think those guys should have to play them standing over there. I really don't.
It is a problem. Dantley. It won't go. Willis with 1 second and the quarter is over. At the end of 1, your score, Atlanta 25, Detroit 22. We'll be back at the Omni. 22, Atlanta after 1. They did lead by 11 points, and it is, as anticipated, a war.
Well, I think you look at the field goal percentage. Detroit shot 44%. Atlanta shot 52. Detroit did not shoot a free throw in that quarter. Atlanta hammered the offensive boards, got 6 offensive boards, total of 14-7 for Detroit. But the key was, I thought, of all 3 offensive rebounds that Detroit got, they converted all of them for scores. So they got 6 points off the offensive boards.
John Koncak and Cliff Livingston check into the Atlanta lineup. And Dennis Rodman checks in for Detroit. We're at the Omni in Atlanta. The second quarter just underway. 25-22 is our score, with Atlanta on top. Doug Collins and Skip Carey with you. Doug, the coach of the Chicago Bulls, doing a fan-up job of analyzing for us. Willis. Yes. He has 9 and leads all score. 27-22. Vinnie Johnson finds Isaiah. Back to Vinnie. He's a great jump shooter.
Boy, you better not let him get it going. He shot only 5 for 13 here on Sunday, but I saw him put on a display on a Sunday afternoon against Boston in the fourth quarter that was second to none.
McGee, that's his territory, that three-point range. He thought about it, couldn't do it. Willis has been the man. Boy, he's doing it. He has 11. 29-24. Rodman wanted it in the post and away from the ball. An offensive foul against Detroit.
You look out there, Detroit, right now, you're seeing the front line of the future. Dennis Rodman and John Sally, two outstanding young rookies who are going to really be great players in the future for this Pistons organization.
They called 3 seconds, not an offensive foul. Good play, Isaiah Thomas. Great anticipation. Sally. Boy, it's a big hoop for him. He's not known for his jump shooting. His first points of the game, it's 29-26. If you joined us late, Atlanta built a 19-8 lead in the first quarter. Detroit closed it to 1. Now it's a 3-point game. McGee, a couple of guys blocked that. Boy, what athletes. What athletes. Great Johnson pass. Rodman can't buy it. Vinny follows it up.
4 offensive rebounds, 8 points.
29-28 Atlanta. 9.5 minutes left. McGee blocked again. That won't go. McGee on the move. Fading away. Got it.
You know what happens with a good shooter when they struggle, Skip? They go away from shooting and they get into another phase. Mike McGee now is trying to drive. He's a jump shooter. Just take your shot.
Do your thing.
That's right. Now you become a driver and you get 3 of them blocked.
Vinnie Johnson, they give Spud Webb some help on him. Rodman knocked away. Mahorn. Bodies everywhere and a foul on Atlanta. If this series goes 7 games, they might not have enough for the team to finish into the next series. Look at the bodies. Mahorn, you got 3 or 4 guys on the floor. This is a game for men tonight, boy. You bet. I tell you, you said it a while ago, the athletes involved in the NBA are phenomenal. I tell you, you never really appreciate it, Skip, as a player as much as you do as a coach, and you sit there and night in and night out, watch what these guys do. Mahorn has his 5th point. He averaged only 6 during the regular season. Dumars gives Isaiah Thomas a rest. There's a picture of concentration. Well, you really got to respect him this year. He got about 25 pounds overweight. Chuck Daly went to him and said, you better lose weight if you want to play. He lost like 25 pounds. Now he's a key force to what this team is doing. Veteran player, knowing what he has to do to help his ball club. Atlanta by 1 and with the ball. Dominique against Rodman with help from Mahorn. Vinnie Johnson deflected it away, and it'll off McGee. Detroit gets it. Great double up there on the double team there to Dominique Wilkins. They ran Rick Mahorn across the floor, made it look like there was an open alley cross court. Vinnie Johnson closed it down, and nice turnover there. That's 7 Atlanta turnovers. At one time, Detroit had 3, Atlanta only 1. Mahorn gets a rest. Lambeer returns with 2 fouls. Vinny. Boy, he is some shooter. A 20-second timeout called by Atlanta. Detroit has taken the lead for the first time in this game, and they seem to be getting in the flow, Doug. Well, they weathered the early storm, as we talked about the emotion. You knew the Atlanta was going to come out flying. They took a deep breath, and they got back to what was good for them. We're not saying Detroit's going to win the game. Absolutely not. What we're saying is it figures to go down to the last 45 seconds. You never know. It might be a 20-point game, but it sure doesn't look like it. Well, this is a game that you know every shot will be contested. Forget about anybody getting a good look at the basket. He's going to have at least 2 hands in his face, maybe 3. And you'll be in Milwaukee or in Boston tomorrow night. You have a chance to see Neal, right? That's right. See the Bucks and the Celtics go in game 2. I guess game 1 is going on right now. I wonder if Kevin McHale played. We'll try to find out. Well, we'll know by halftime.
What surprised me about how effective he could be last week when we started to play them in the final ball game, he could barely walk.
That makes this series perhaps more significant for these two teams, if it could be more significant. Antoine Carr has checked in. He's got the ball now. Joe Dumars fouled him.
This young man has really come on strong at the end of the year. He got a bad burn early in the year on his leg, was out early, got heavy, but now he's their best low post player.
Doc Rivers blocked away by Rodman. What a block. Koncak lands out of bounds, but the ball is going to belong to Atlanta. Man, this is something. Now time is called. I want to check something at the scores table, the amount of time.
There should not be a new 24. The ball did not hit the basket, so they've got to decide. I don't think there was any possession on the play. Maybe they are giving him a new 24.
That's the way it looks. Rivers, boy, just barely got it in time. He gets 5 seconds. Koncak. Shank got it. Dumars up the floor. Sally on the wing against Antoine Carr. Vinny and McGee wisely all over him, but
you know where it's going, to the hoop. He will put it right in your face.
You were saying before the game, you can't have a conscience and play this game.
You miss 5 in a row, you say, I need the ball, I'm hot.
McGee dribbled out of three-point country. Koncak shot it over the basket. Antoine Carr drew the foul. Shoots 2. So Koncak has struggled. He shot one short, shot one long.
Both of these teams playing outstanding defense. We see the ball going inside. Koncak missed the shot. Antoine Carr, great offensive rebound position. Pump fakes and then draws the foul. But this young man has been the key, I think, to Atlanta down the stretch. He allows him late in the ball game to move Dominique to the big guard, and they put him in the low post. Now they go Dominique and Doc Rivers in the back court, and it makes them a very potent team down in the low post.
That's without Kevin McHale, and Boston leads by 8.
He's still got a guy wearing number 33 named Larry Bird that I saw way too much of.
A lane violation on the miss. And Carr gets what is called a substitute free throw.
This used to be the 3 for 2.
Yeah, that's right. And a good move to do away with that.
For all those bad free throw shooters that didn't like to see hat tricks.
Off the bench, Detroit has outscored Atlanta 12-4. Benny Johnson has 10 of those 12. He forced that one. Carr had it. Knocked loose Lambier. Sally is crashed. See who the foul is on.
John Sally taking the ball right to the basket. He's going to go up with power, and Doc Rivers from behind looked like he got a good piece of the ball. I did not know who the foul was called on.
They called it on Rivers, his second. We cannot hear the PA here. The noise is just incredible, which is what makes it fun. Sally hurled a brick.
That's why you give up no layups in the playoffs. You say, we got to step to the line and you got to make free throws.
He makes one of the 2, and Detroit leads by 2. Sally has 3. At the conclusion of the game, Doug and I will be selecting the Miller Lite player of the game. But we're a long way from that. 35-33. Randy Whitman has cooled off. He was hot early. Detroit can build its biggest lead, 4 points.
It's a tough matchup, Lambier for Tree Rollins. See if they run screen and roll and slide him out for a jump shot.
Dumars gets the jumper and buries it.
They caught him on the rotation. They ran the screen and roll. Lambier got on the rotation, skipped it down, wide open jump shot.
Rivers with play instructions, and he has to scream them up. Whitman jumps in, score it, and a foul. There's a big basket for Atlanta. Randy has 10. Sally the foul.
Beautiful pump fake. Randy Whitman's going to get John Sally in the air, lean underneath him, and knock the shot in.
When he was a kid, he was afraid to shoot. Not anymore. We'll be back at the Omni in Atlanta.
Coming up at halftime, John McLeod joins me here in the studio to continue his analysis of the NBA playoffs. I'll have highlights of the Milwaukee-Boston game, plus Game 2 of the Seattle-Houston series. And former Rocket guard Calvin Murphy will also be here in the studio with me. All that and more coming up at halftime. Now let's go back to the Omni to Skip and Doug.
Skip, let's take a look at that last play. Screen and roll. Tree Rollins stepping out to help the guard. Lambier rolls out, as I talked about. Doc Rivers rotates up. A swing pass down to Dumars. That's great execution, and he knocks the shot in.
And Randy Whitman just buried the free throw. So the Piston lead is 37-36 with 6.5 minutes left.
Same play. They skipped it over the top that time to Dumars.
This time he misses. Sally got away with a push and got the rebound. Rodman against Wilkins in the hole, but they can't get him the ball. Lambier, yes. (39-36) Detroit. 6:02 left in the first half. Dominique. He has 8.
You got to really give him a lot of credit. When he came to this league, he was not a great jump shooter, and to realize his full potential, his jump shot has made him so good.
Vinnie Johnson, not this time. He's cooled a little bit, and a foul on Detroit, I think. Oh, they call it on Antoine Clark. Kevin Willis in. Clark goes out. Pistons by 1 and with the ball with 5:35 left in the half. Doug Collins, the coach of the Chicago Bulls and a veteran analyst, on with Skip Carey at the Omni. Mel Proctor and Bill Russell watching out in Los Angeles. Sally saves it. 4 on the shot clock. He's going to have to throw up a prayer. Offensive foul taken away.
Well, this is a great defensive stand by Atlanta. John Sally, realizing the shot clock running down, jumps in to Randy Whitman. The shot goes. It does not count. That's a big sequence there for Atlanta. They're an outstanding defensive team. They showed why.
Atlanta can reclaim the lead. They trail by 1. Dominique. But a foul. It's on Dennis Rodman. His second. 4th team foul.
Skip, I think one of the keys when you play in Atlanta or you play Detroit are their key players, Dominique and Adrian Dantley at the 3 spot, is that you don't let them get to the free throw line 8, 9, 10 times. Make them beat you in the field. If they're going to score 20 points, make them take 20 shots. Don't let them get to the line now 8 or 10 times. And that's the first time Dominique has been in the foul line tonight.
And he gives his team a 1-point lead at 40-39. Vinny gets Lambier, the open J.
You know what I talked about? Who plays screen and roll well tonight? These teams are both great screen and roll people. Lambier, a difficult problem because he rolls out, not toward the basket.
Willis, Dumars stole it. Ahead, Vinny. He's got Rodman on the wing. That's Rodman. Goodbye. His first points. Detroit vaults back to a 3-point lead.
How about the confidence that Chuck Daly has in his rookies, Sally and Rodman? They played some heavy minutes here early in this first half.
I guess after 82 regular season games, there is no such thing as a rookie. Randy Whitman buries the jumper. He has 13 and leads all scored. But Detroit leads by 1 with 4:05 left. Lambier against Willis. Sally off the glass. How do you do? Boy, Detroit is scorching it.
I think Bobby Crimmins probably sitting there wondering where that jump shot was last year. He said we'd have gone into the NCAA tournament a little further.
I think you're right. Rivers to the front court against Dumars. Wilkins against Rodman. Off balance, he got it. Very similar to the shot he missed Sunday with 3 seconds left. with Rodman hanging all over it. 45-44 Detroit. Lambeer again. Boy. They just keep doing it, and Atlanta can't stop it.
That's what you got to do. You got to keep running the same play. Right now they're catching him in the rotation. Lambeer, a great outside shooter. Very difficult to match up against to be a big player.
He's 6 of 6 from the field, is Bill Lambeer. Kevin Willis has had a great night. He has 13.
Skip, this is a great basketball game. You're seeing some fantastic shots and some great defensive plays. Every shot is well contested.
There's some thoroughbreds out there on both teams tonight. Dumars has it stripped away. Rivers winds up out of bounds. Atlanta has the ball. They can take the lead with 2:38 left. Knocked away by Sally, but Rivers has it. Got to be a lonely feeling for Rodman now. He gets help from Dumars. Whitman all by himself. You got to play him. He'll bury you. The last 10 field goal attempts in this game have all been good. Atlanta by 1. We'll be back. Neal and John McLeod will be along with all the scores, highlights, and news from around the NBA, and a special feature. Calvin Murphy is in the studio, as well as highlights of Milwaukee, Boston, and Seattle, Houston. You talk about a tough customer, that Calvin Murphy, boy. He could do it.
You know what scares me? All the times that he and I used to go at each other, and you know, you'd think because he was little you could say things to him. Now when I realize how tough he was, that scares me. He could have beat me up a lot.
If he'd have been a prize fighter, he'd have been a champion. Atlanta by 1. Detroit with the ball. Vinnie Johnson. Foul Whitman. I'm not criticizing the officials, but it's got to be frustrating the players. One time down the floor, there'll be 6 bodies on the floor, and then a little bump and a foul.
I think what happens is that the officials said we better get a grip on this too, because it was getting a little wild and woolly there in the first quarter. Better tempo in the game right now.
And they're playing great basketball. As we said before, the last 10 shots tried have all been good. He hasn't missed all night, but he threw it away. Willis is in front. Rivers can't get him the ball. Didn't need to. His second hoop. Atlanta by 3.
They'll go high screen and roll here again. That's what they like to run. I think they're going to go to their 15 series.
Finney on the move and won't go. Sally the rebound and a foul on Atlanta.
Boy, Vinnie Johnson feels that he's just coming off those screens and letting it go. You see Vinnie here, great defense there, 2 hands in his face, misses the shot, but John Sally knifes through the defense there. 2 offensive players for Atlanta, just couldn't get the job done on the rebound, and Sally will get to the free throw line and get 2 shots.
First foul on Tree Rollins, and that's good news for Atlanta. Foul problems plagued the big guy from Cordele, Georgia, throughout his career. Mahorn and Dantley and Isaiah about to return as Sally drops the first one. Both teams have used their bench very liberally. If Boston, and they're a long way from doing it, but if they get into an Eastern final against these guys, will that be a big...
Oh, I think that, you know, you've got to be able to go 8 deep in the playoffs. You've got to have almost a sub at each position. And right now, Boston's hurting. Their subs are not 100%, and then with Kevin McHale going down, that pushes a reserve man into a starting role.
Doc Rivers up the floor. Atlanta by 2, and with the ball with 1:25. Whitman again, not this time. Dantley jumps in for the rebound. Isaiah Thomas up the floor. 7 on the shot clock. And a foul, offensive foul against Detroit.
Rick Mahorn stepped up, tried to set a screen on Doc Rivers, and was called for a moving screen.
His second foul. So Atlanta has it back with a 2-point lead. .50-48. Rivers, good pass. Rollins blocks Sally. Rollins, yes. His first point. 48 seconds left. We'll have these teams again Friday from Detroit. Atlanta can build it up to 6.
But they can push it here and get 2 shots to 1 if they go quickly here.
Whitman, what a night. He has 17.
They'll run a sideline screen and roll here with Isaiah. Let's see how they try to defend this. They're going to try to double him, make him give the ball up quickly.
Offensive, Vinny Johnson. Atlanta can go up by 8.
Vinny lowers his shoulder. Doc Rivers steps in, takes the charge. This last 2 minutes has been really deadly for the Detroit Pistons. Atlanta's taking great advantage of it.
Atlanta has all that time. Great pass. Rollins with the left hand. Isaiah from 55. No. And the half is over. And Atlanta walks off with an 8-point lead, and it's rocking and rolling in the Omni. A long way to go, but right now the Hawks are doing it. 56-48. We'll be back with Charlie Neal, John McLeod, right after this. Our score. You made a very interesting point during the halftime festivities about a decision Chuck Daly made in the last 2 minutes of the first half.
Well, with 1:37 to go, he brought back in 3 of his starters, Mahorn, Adrian Dantley, and Isaiah Thomas, I'm sure, to try to finish that quarter very strongly. And at that time, it was a 2-point game, 50-48. I think they came in a little cold, and they hit him with a 6-0 run there. It sort of broke the game open a little bit.
And it got the crowd back into the game, which is an important item here in Atlanta, because these folks are really fanatics in the truest sense of the word. What do the two teams have to do now? They've really battled one another, hammer and tongs.
I think that Atlanta's going to have to make an adjustment on the screen and roll that Detroit hurt them on, especially with Lambeer running that high screen and roll, and he rolls out. And what happens, you have to double that guard coming off because he's such a great player. You don't want him turning the corner, and Lambeer is knocking that shot in. And maybe we get a chance to see, here's what I'm talking about. Lambeer at the top of the screen is going to make a pass. He's going to go over and set the screen. And they're going to double him. They're going to, Willis jumps out and a nice pass, and Lambeer shot the ball so well. He shot 6 for 6 in that first half. I think they're going to have to make an adjustment on how they want to stop that play.
Meanwhile, Kevin Willis has had a heck of a half, and so has Randy Whitman for the Atlanta team.
They did. They really shot the ball very well. Whitman was 8 for 11, Wilkins 5 for 9, Willis 5 for 7. We see Willis in the low post here, and Mahorn give him in his body, and nice little turnaround jump shot there by Kevin Willis in the low post.
It's 56-48. That's a nice little lead for Atlanta, but if you think this thing is anywhere near over, boy, you got another think coming, because it's going to get even more emotional. And don't forget, after this game, we're not done yet. As you look at the first half statistics, Mel Proctor and Bill Russell standing by out in Los Angeles, where Golden State and the Lakers will get together right after this game.
When we look at the stats, of the 23 Atlanta rebounds, 11 of them are on the offensive board, 9 offensive rebounds for Detroit, but they got a lot more offensive production. They got their offensive rebounds for scores, only 4 out of 6 from the free throw line for Detroit. Adrian Dantley did not shoot a free throw. I thought that was a big key.
Absolutely. He never did get off in this game. He has just 6 points. Dominique Wilkins has 12, but he hasn't been the big gun for Atlanta that he normally is.
They've made him a passer. They've doubled him, and they've tried to take the ball out of his hands. As a result, Whitman has been the one to flourish through that system.
So the second half is about to get underway. The Pistons huddle up around Chuck Daly, and the Hawks do likewise around Mike Fratello, and 24 more minutes of basketball at least in this game. Just to keep you up to date on what's on the menu here on CBS, we told you about Golden State and the Lakers later tonight. Tomorrow, Braves baseball at 5:35. The Braves in Montreal in the rubber game of a 3-game series. Montreal won today 6-4, and then Doug will join Bob Neal in Boston for game 2 of the Boston-Milwaukee series. That's really unusual, back-to-back playoff games.
I think that's going to hurt Boston, because right now they don't have the depth. And you know, in our series, we played them on Thursday night, and we didn't play them again until Sunday afternoon. I thought that it helped them, but this back-to-back game could hurt Boston.
And then on Friday night, we will be back in the Silverdome, Doug and I, for game 3 of this series. And in the next few minutes, we'll find out whether it will be tied 1-1 or whether Detroit will have a 2-0 lead. 56-48, the halftime score. Atlanta is on top.
Excuse me, Skip. Let's see if Atlanta comes out with that same fire they started the game with. right now, to start this third period, first 3 or 4 minutes could dictate a lot of what's going to happen during the rest of the game. Will they let Detroit right back in it, or do they push it up to maybe a 12 or 14-point lead?
By the way, Isaiah Thomas with just 2 points in the game. He had 30 on Sunday afternoon. Well, here we go. Doug Collins, the coach of the Chicago Bulls, along with Skip Carey from the Omni in Atlanta. The third quarter has begun, and Whitman misses and Lambier rebounds. Whitman with 17, the game's leading scorer.
I bet you they try to get Isaiah Thomas going here.
He slips it beautifully to Dantley.
That was a great, great pass. He got 3 people in the air. Adrian Dantley with a nice layup. Great play by Isaiah Thomas.
56-50 Atlanta. The Hawks led by as many as 11, trailed by as many as 3 in the first half. Wilkins against Dantley. Whitman is the open man. Yep, he's still hot. He's got 19. Every time they double and he's open, he's burying it, or virtually every time.
He really knows how to use the screen, too. He had great coaching with Bob Knight, now with Mike Fratello.
Mahorn threw up a prayer and didn't get an answer. Great steal by Isaiah against Rollins, who tackles him. Now, Isaiah won't object to that because there was no attempt to injure.
He caught him. You know, he didn't go after him. He didn't try to clothesline him or anything. Isaiah knows he's not going to get any layups. That's why he goes strong to the basket. He didn't flip the shot where Rollins could block it. He took it right at him, and he knew that he was going to draw the foul. You see a great steal there, and Isaiah right now knows I've got to go with it strong to the basket. Rollins, not wanting to hurt him, just wraps him up and helps him down so he does not get injured.
That's an old pro, and Thomas makes the free throw, and that is just, as we mentioned, his third point of the night. He has 5 assists as well. 58-52 the score. Atlanta has the lead on the ball with 10:45 left third quarter. Whitman again. Lambier the rebound of a missed shot. Dumars has Dantley out in front, but he's well guarded by Dominique Wilkins.
See if they double. They double him, try to make him give it up quickly.
Dumars is the open man. He has 6.
See the respect these great players get in the league. They're not going to allow him to be beat one-on-one. They're going to run another guy at him and force him to pass it.
There's the hottest talk. I think a foul. Let's see. It's on Isaiah.
Nice little gentle game we've got going here tonight. Look at the screen there, Isaiah and Tree Rollins. Tree trying to get himself loose from a Isaiah hammer hold. .10
left, third quarter. Doc Rivers finds Kevin Willis. When he does that, he's tough. 60-54 is the score. And the first illegal defense of the night is called by John Vanek.
That'll be on Kevin Willis. He crossed the imaginary plane on the weak side, strong side of the basket in isolation. So first one is a warning and the resetting of the shot clock. The next one is a technical foul.
You know, if you want to put a stop to that, I probably shouldn't say this to an NBA coach, but if you want to put a stop to that, make it a real technical on the guy who does it. Mahorn and a foul. In other words, you do it twice, you're out of the game. And now here we go again.
A little extracurricular here with Tree Rollins and Mahorn.
And Willis.
And Willis.
A foul on Dominique.
Rick Mahorn sliding in, goes up strong with the dunk and gets fouled. After the play, he and Tree Rollins sort of pushed each other. A little shove there, a little shove back.
Undaunted, Mahorn completes the three-point play. That's his game, boy. He's a banger. 60-57 Atlanta. The Tree with a jump shot. He got it. Boy, Willis and Mahorn again. Rollins with 6. Keep an eye on Willis and Mahorn. Isaiah, but Rollins is there. And steals it. Whitman on the run. No. Willis again. Atlanta by 7. 8:55 left, third quarter. Dominique Wilkins, a hustling play.